Good afternoon. I'm Gary Barnes, Vice Chair of the Planning and Economic Development Committee. And first thing is roll call.
Mrs. Root, Mr. Barnes,
Present.
Mr. Curran,
Here.
Mr. Sear,
Here.
Mrs. Hanchett, here, Mr. Healy,
Here.
Mr. Ricky,
Here.
Mrs. Ricketts-Swales,
Here.
and Mr. Stockin. 7 present, 1 absent.
Next thing is the approval of the minutes for July 20th. Will someone make a motion?
Hanchett moves.
Curran, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passed. Thank you. Next is Rita Solbeck Lynch, Employment and Training Director, for her monthly report.
Good afternoon. I think you have my monthly
Afternoon.
report in front of you. It's been kind of a quiet month, but it's an especially busy month for us as we have youth that are finishing up their summer youth employment programs. And we've been able to extend about 35 extra weeks this year. So a lot of our youth will be working until the end of the summer, and then we do have a few that are out of school that will be staying until the end of September. So it's been a really successful year. To follow up from July, I think, Mike, you had asked if I had heard of any additional funding for veterans training, and I wasn't able to find any through the Department of Labor, but we certainly have plenty of money for training for veterans and adults and dislocated workers and youth, so we do have training money.
Well, I thank you for looking into that.
You're welcome. There is a correction on the hiring event. Next Thursday, we'll be in the training annex next to our building, and it's going to be from 10 until noon. The Allegheny Arc is looking for direct support professionals who are now known as life coaches. And they have 30 positions available in Allegheny County. So we're hoping to help them out there.
Anything else?
That's all for today.
Any questions? I have one. Under unemployment, you show 3.6% compared to 5.3% for June of last year versus this year. How many people are actually employed now compared to last year?
I did
Do you have
not-
that figure?
I might have the statistics here.
Roughly 2% more.
Point, yeah.
Okay, for the United
But
States.
my question is the actual numbers of people employed.
Okay. I don't have those figures in front of me, but they print them every month with the unemployment rates.
Well, 3.6 and 5.3 have some meaning, but I think that it would be better to know how many are actually employed. We could have 3.6, but actually less people employed than we did last year, depending
So-
on the total numbers.
Like, this is 18, I believe it's 18,800 people were employed in June of this year. Last year, it was 18,100.
So there's slightly more.
0.7 more, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Rita.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I believe that Keir is not here for planning director. Is anybody here to represent him? I see
can
the
do that.
administrator standing up, so go ahead, Chris.
I'm sorry, Kieran was unable to be here this afternoon. He did submit his monthly report, and I think you all have that. He also has 2 MOEs for contracts. These are vendors we've used in the past for videos and/or photos for tourism and economic development, and we plan on continuing to use those vendors. We haven't always brought forward vendors for committee approval in the past. It's something we're trying to make sure we get all our contracts before the committee going forward. So if you're unfamiliar with these names, we've used them in the past, but now we're coming for permission to make sure they get in the minutes.
So we have 2 motions then.
Yes.
Anyone want to make a motion to,
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'll make a motion on the first MOE.
a second?
Second by Ricketts-Swales.
Thank you. Any discussion? In that case, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's passed.
Thank you.
And on the second request for the Genesee Valley Media contract for tourism videos, do we have a motion? A second? Okay. Any discussion? We'll take a vote then. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And it's passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Craig Clark, Economic Development, Industrial Development Agency, monthly report.
How we doing? Everything going well? We're doing well as well, and I've got my normal report. I've kept all of the projects on here. I have highlighted a few because that's the updates more than everything else is still working on, but the biggest thing is we are working on the Crossroads project. I've talked to another hotel developer, which is also interested, and I've also, CP&L Engineering at the Crossroads project, we're pretty close to having all of the studies done out there. They'll be presenting at the next IDA board meeting, and then we can present that and bring that here. And I am on the discussion with the next Amity Planning Board on September 18th. So looking at the site, it's really the site development is what we had brought before to the legislature. It's using the 18 acres primarily behind, but some of it adjacent to the actual Crossroads Travel Center, potentially with one hotel, 2 restaurants, and similar development out there. So we'll be bringing that proposal back for you to review.
So what you're saying there is that with this completed, it is shovel-ready?
Well, no, we're not shovel-ready, but we're ready to be shovel-ready because basically
I realize that,
having all the studies done is the first step of that. So if somebody came out tomorrow, they would not have to do any studies. They could actually come out and break ground tomorrow, yes. We'll have to still go through a seeker process, but it's pretty close. And then I've talked to Carissa on figuring out how we can start building the road first, because that's the one thing that some of the developers, hotel developers have said is, if the road's in, it makes a difference, not just is it site ready.
so the advantage is that by the completion of this, we would be, as you say, shovel-ready.
Wait.
A developer could come in and be going.
You wouldn't have to wait 6 or 7 months to do all the studies. They will have been done, yes.
They could jump right into the project once it's approved.
Yes,
Thank you.
I have a question.
sure.
Did you say you're coming to the planning board?
September 18th, that's what Wendy sent me. Yeah,
Okay,
this
and
morning.
what is that, what are you bringing to that? I guess
Just
I'm a little
update,
confused.
just an update of where we are.
Okay. All right.
Now, discussing, obviously she has a copy of the plans as well, but a copy of the plans and just discussing. It's not site plan review or anything, it's just looking
Okay,
at it.
yeah, we met last night, or last night or the night before. I
Right.
didn't know anything about it, so,
She
good,
just sent me that today.
good.
Mr. Barnes?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. I know this goes back before your tenure, but I'm sure you remember when the Obama administration had all the infrastructure money out there for
Right.
projects. It was like 8 or 9.
I do remember because I was mayor back then and we couldn't get a project funded. Yes, I do remember it.
I remember when you were mayor of Alfred. That was,
No, but I remember trying to get the money, so I remember.
Yeah, and we didn't have, we had shovel-ready, the Belvedere Crossroads site, any of that shovel-ready. Then, of course, that was back during the first water
Sure.
park project there that went away. That would have been an easy
That
lift,
would
because
have
they couldn't find enough projects for the money, is that correct?
Yes, that was the issue, that they wanted shovel-ready. Actually, they wanted a little bit past shovel-ready, but they wanted a minimum of shovel-ready projects. The Empire State Development is also requesting, and we've put in this site as one of the 2 sites. The other one was Sugar Hill. There's no real money yet, but they are getting money to do more work, infrastructure work on these shovel-ready sites. So we put in for both of those as acknowledgement they're 2 projects, and there's no money, but at least they know it's available.
There may be money.
We're hoping.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other question?
Okay,
ahead.
the next project, it's yellow, was Runnings in Wellsville, which we're all excited about coming. I talked to the CEO just Monday, and they're mobilizing as we speak. Should be there next week to start doing some interior and exterior construction. The first phases is the interior as well as the new roof and some of the AC units. And they're planning to be ready and operational next spring. They figure it'll take that long. They'll probably be hiring some people late this fall. They do have a potential manager of the project who was from the area, but they don't know who's going to be the manager yet. But as you noted, we've already passed the financial assistance. The only thing it was waiting for was a letter from the county, and once that's passed, they'll be able to give them the financial assistance, which would be first the sales tax and eventually a pilot.
What kind of exterior improvement, other than signage?
I don't know for sure. I've not seen plans. I know they've got a demolition permit to demo some of the stuff inside. My guess is they'll do a complete, it'll look like a new building. That's what he's talking to me about, but I don't know what they're doing on the outsides besides the roof and the AC units.
Anything else? Go ahead.
I mean, the biggest thing they're going to do on the inside is LED lights. That's the first thing they're going to start with, energy efficiency, which makes sense. Been talking regularly with the Wellsville Business Park, and there's a couple new projects. One, they're talking about putting development from the developers that own it in there, as well as potentially there's two other projects. One looks pretty good. The other one we don't know yet, but it could be a very big project if they come into the building. So they're getting anxious to get at least one or two things going in there to make sure they can, pay the regular bills of keeping the lights on, but they've got a couple of projects they're moving on. Hopefully I'll be able to announce something that soon, but don't have anything today. The clean energy projects, the large 100 megawatt project just continues with the town of Alfred, and we are having initial discussions. They have not given us anything to act on, a financial assistance at any means. But I do know they're ready to start moving in the near future once that's approved. And the new PV project in Alfred was approved for financial assistance, and I have no date when they're going to start, but I would think fairly soon in this construction season. And I know the ones down in Independence should be starting as well. We've actually approved 4 projects down there. At least 3 of them should be starting this fall, as far as I know. And I've not heard anything else from Hume yet, because Northland is really working on the Alfred one first, but I know they're going to be, working on the Hume one in parallel. So, and that's also about 100 megawatts. They're both big projects. They're both 500 to 700 acres. So, yes.
Thank you. The small solar project that's under construction on Randolph Road in
Right.
Alfred, they did not enter into a pilot agreement, is that correct?
Oh, they did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did. The 5
Okay.
megawatt. We have not closed it, meaning we haven't done all the official work, but yes, they have.
Okay, thank you.
Most of these projects aren't concerned about the closing per se, because most of them already get sales tax exemption through the state. They're only looking for the actual pilot itself, but yes. So we haven't actually done the paperwork, but yes, we have approved one. That's when I say closed, doesn't mean they're closed. It means the lawyers have collected their fees and we have. Anything on those? Those are, 2 of those are really big projects. Will have some benefit they all have benefit to the, primarily, as we talked about last time, to the landowners, but also the towns. And there are some taxes that are through the pilot system. Microenterprise grant, the county is working and we're working to make sure we can finally do that closeout. There's some things on the last project that are due in September. We're fine. We just have to get all the paperwork together. As we know, CBDG and the state have a few paperwork to have done, don't they, Terry?
Just a bit, yeah. Never ending.
Never ending, because we thought it was almost closed, and then we had a meeting not too long ago, and there was a long list of things they still wanted. But it's no big deal, it's just collecting it all. Once we do that, we'll be able to put in for another microenterprise grant. The last one was $200,000. We're hoping to get $300,000 this year. So that's for startups or companies less than 5. And so instead of giving out, 170, we'll be able to get almost 270 out, which is really nice. Give out more money. And the last one was very, very productive. And we,
I have a question
Right, sure.
about that. I hear it's a great program,
Right.
and I've had an opportunity to speak to Jeff from Accord too, and he
Right.
really is very appreciative of that program.
Right.
I know that I've had questions about it too, and just kind of remind you were going to send a list of the
I'll get you the
grants
list.
that have been given out.
Yeah, it was in the paper, in the queue paper, but I'll get you the actual list, yes.
Thank
In fact,
you very much.
right now is an easier time to do it because we have to send in all of the actual
Good.
grant approvals to CBDG, so I have them all in one
Right.
space.
Well, it would make it easier. Just really the questions I had were just basically how are they chosen? And I wanted to show that there was a wide range. I knew that there was one of our chamber members at one point that
Right.
went through it too, but it was really kind of to support the program too on
Right.
that. So there's always questions about it and
The
how.
biggest hurdle.
they're given.
There's two hurdles that people
Finish.
had to get in the program. One, they had to go through either Accord or Incubator Works training. And both parties were very good about making sure there was options and ways to get the training. So sometimes it had to be almost virtual, so everybody got the training that needed it. That was not a problem. The second part is they really had to have a full business plan, and some of them participated by giving a full, well-thought-out business plan. There was a couple that dropped out
Right.
because they just didn't have the time or energy to do a real business plan.
Correct. Well, it certainly would be helpful because then it would kind of dispel the myths that only certain people can get them. So, and that was my reason for asking at
Sure,
the time.
no problem.
So,
It's all open, we'll get you the names and what we did.
thank you.
Yep. And I think there was one that actually dropped out after they got the grant because they couldn't follow the time frame. So we had to find somebody else to do that. And it really worked through both Accord and Incubator Works of who went through the program and who had the initial training. Those are the people that were encouraged to apply because you couldn't just apply off the street without the training. And we told people that right from the beginning. But some
Yeah.
people didn't do the training and then they weren't eligible.
Okay.
And in fact, that's one of the things they're asking is, do you have certifications or you have some documentation? Everybody got the training, which they did. And the CBDG, the larger grant, the $1 million, which is for 25 and less employees, which have COVID impact, has not started yet. We still have to hire a consultant to do parts and pieces of that. As soon as we get that put together, we'll be publishing the criteria and publishing the application process. We don't have that done yet. We're
And
close.
You did get the funding for it,
The
correct?
funding is, well, did we
Or has-
finally get it all finalized? We got the funding.
I didn't know if
I'm
I,
asking.
I'm not sure.
We have the approval to do it, but there's still some back and forth on signing the contract.
okay,
Yes, because it goes through the county and then we manage it, yes.
all right, thanks.
So the funding has been approved is the issue. That's why I have to be careful I say that, but they approved it, yes. And that's also a big, great program that'll help a lot of businesses because there's a lot of small businesses that are 25 and less, and they'll all be eligible. So,
That is correct.
so there's a lot of small businesses,
Been
you
my
know,
business,
Gretchen.
so.
There's a lot of them, yes. And that one is different because the microenterprise grant is startups or existing businesses, but this is only existing businesses because you couldn't have had COVID impact without being existing, so it's not for startups.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay? Those are my highlights, but I will answer any other questions in the report or anything else you have.
Any other questions?
I have other answers. But seriously, thank you for your support. I think we're making a difference, and we continue to try to do that, so thank you.
Okay, next, Allison Carroll, County Attorney. You got something for us?
Good afternoon. I am here today requesting a resolution to set the date of a public hearing on the adoption of a local law establishing the Office of Economic Development in the Economic Development Advisory Board of Allegheny County in repealing local law number 2 of 1985. There is a typo in the MOE. The date of the public hearing should be September 28th, 2022 at 2 p.m. at the Allegheny County Board of Legislators Chambers. I don't think any of you want to come in on a Saturday, September 24th, and have a public hearing. I know I don't want to because usually.
Again,
I'm
that's
doing
September
something.
28th.
September 28th, yes. So my MOE details the reason why for the request for the local law. It is similar to the MOE I submitted when we originally introduced this local law. As you recall, we were all set to have a public hearing initially with the first draft, but unfortunately, at the last minute, we had to start the process all over again because change had to be made to the local law, the proposed local law regarding the qualifications of the Director of Economic Development. The proposed local law will be formally introduced to the Board of Legislators and presented on the day that this request for a resolution for notice of a public hearing, should it pass this committee, would be voted on at the board meeting. And the formal process will hopefully kick off on that day. And the intent is that the local law will have the public hearing, and then the local law will pass on September 28th.
So you're looking for a motion for the public hearing?
Yes.
As amended?
Yes.
I'd be glad to move that, Mr. Burns.
Thank you. A second?
As well.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it's passed.
Thank you.
And next, we have Carissa Knapp, County Administrator, with a request for a resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask that we go into executive session, make a movement to go into executive session to discuss the medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Hanchett seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Chairman, I object to the motion on two grounds. Number one, it's too broad, not allowed under the principles under the open meeting law. Number two is based upon the resolution that's supposed to be approved between two governmental bodies.
Can you come up and speak so we can hear you?
Identify yourself for the record and for the public. Probably the record knows who we are, but.
My name is Casey Jones. I'm the editor of the Allegheny Hope Community News. I object on two grounds. Number one is that the motion that's being made is too broad. It's not significant enough in order to identify the business that's being conducted based upon the information I've provided to you previously. But number two is that based upon the resolution that's being introduced, as I understand it, one-year renewal of agreement with State University of New York College of Technology at Alfred, you have a situation in which you have two governmental bodies. And so as a result of that, this should not be a executive session to talk about interchanges between governmental bodies.
Okay, we have a, is there any other discussion?
Mr. Vice Chairman, could we, I actually agree with that. Can we get the opinion of our county attorney on what the law states on this?
So, Ms. Knapp the county administrator had not been able to, although it was listed on the agenda, she had not yet actually made her request for the resolution. So I do believe that has to be presented to I think that has to be presented to the committee before the resolution, before the motion to go into executive session. I would request an attorney-client session. Motion for attorney-client.
Okay, so we're now requesting a attorney-client session rather than executive session. Is that correct?
It sounds like legislator Sear asked for legal advice.
Excuse me, Ms. Carroll, what's that?
I believe legislator Sear is asking for legal advice at this point.
That would be correct, Ms. Carroll.
Any other discussion?
All in favor?
We were,
All in favor?
I'm trying to get back to the original motion is moot at this point?
You don't have to have a motion for attorney-client. You have a legislator asking for legal advice. I think you have the right to go into attorney-client session so that advice could be provided.
Thank you.
Okay, then, all those in favor of attorney-client, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passed.